This is Matthew McConaughey,
Natalie Portman.
James Patterson,
Michael Ian Black,
and you are listening to
Five questions
with Dan
Schawbel.
Mike, welcome to Five Questions.
Thanks for having me.
What influence did your mother have on your music career?
The most obvious thing is my mom started me in piano around 3 or 4. But I think maybe a little less obvious thing would be that she was a stenographer. She was a court reporter. So she kind of helped teach me the importance of words and word choice. Like we had a lot of, we'd almost have like quizzes about like words and word meanings.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And it's so powerful to have a parent that supports you, especially at that young age.
Yeah.
My mom forced me to play piano. I think I was 13 and I just did it for her. I wasn't that into it, even though the recital went well, and I quit the next day. But at least I think it's all about like exposing your children to activities and sports and creative arts, because you never know what they're going to latch onto.
Yeah.
After forming Linkin Park with your high school friends, how did you overcome the challenge of landing your first record label?
Okay, so there's like basically 2 types of deal to be had. There's the recording deal and a publishing deal. And we got our publishing deal first. So our guitarist Brad was interning at a publishing company right across the street from, like, it was on Sunset near the Whiskey and Roxy, basically. And he convinced his boss to come see us. And unbeknownst to his boss, the room was packed with our friends. Like we knew everybody there. So, but it created this illusion of popularity. And when he walked in, he just felt like he was missing out on something that the kids were into. And he basically offered us a deal right away. It was like a low end of the middle kind of standard deal, which was fine because we weren't sure where the band would end up going anyway. We weren't even thinking of it in terms of like long-term career at all. But I think the important thing was that we invested 100% of that publishing deal money right back into the band. Like we didn't spend any of it any other way, pocket any of it or anything like that. We just bought new gear for the studio and the stage and nothing frivolous. Like that was one decision that helped put us in a position not only to like get our record deal, but more importantly, it set us up to put in many, many hours building our skill sets, which would be like the foundation of everything for many years to come.
I actually did something somewhat similar to you. For one of my book deals, instead of having to beg an agent to represent me, I hired a consultant that interviewed all the top agents in New York. And then they wanted to work with me because of that. So I kind of reversed everything in the whole process and positioned myself as someone that they would want to represent, instead of like, sending out different, book proposals, hoping that someone would pay attention to me.
That's a great hack. I like that.
So doing things different really can help you stand out.
100%.
And you have done so much in the arts. I mean, even right now, you said you're Twitch streaming, you're a musician, you're a producer, a gamer, a graphic designer. How do you decide what projects to focus on right now versus which ones to maybe set aside for another day?
I mean, thankfully, I'm in a position where I can go where my curiosity takes me. And I always tell people, I've been telling people I'm in a bit of a research and development phase. So I'm looking to see what's out there and see what catches my attention and decide where to spend time. I've been playing with a lot of different types of creative projects. Like you said, writing and producing, new technology, and then also like just engaging with my community in different ways. But it's a lot of variety. Like just for example, like this last month or 2, I've done sessions making songs for other people's, other musicians' albums. I helped launch a project with a music AI company that I'm invested in and work with called Warp Sound. And I continue to tinker on like some other bigger ideas, which honestly may take a few years to flesh out.
Yeah, this is where it's all going anyways. Like if you're in the creative field, you need to know where technology is going, and it's good to experiment. I mean, one of your big experiments was your NFT project last year that sold out, 5,000 NFTs sold in a matter of minutes. And that's become pretty common now. I'm very bullish on NFTs as well. I have a lot of them on a platform called Vivi, which has a lot of IP backed NFTs, and a lot of artists have their own NFTs now. I mean, also part of the Rally network where there's a lot of creatives. So I think that this is really transforming how musicians make money, get their music made. I think you've probably heard there's, different platforms that allow you to kind of share revenue from songs and albums with fans. So I think that this whole idea of co-creation and getting closer to fans through NFTs is really taken off. And I think that it's going to have a bright future. And just, your NFT project, it was more of a hybrid. You released new music with the NFTs, Ziggurats. How do you see NFTs transforming the music industry, and what do they mean for artists moving forward?
Yeah. So just for clarity, like what you were saying about royalties, I mean, that's standard in NFTs, that the creator sets a royalty and the royalty carries on forever. I mean, one thing that like combats, for example, is like the phenomenon of in streetwear. Everybody is very familiar with, I mean, it's almost a given at this point that somebody releases a new item and then it immediately goes to the, secondary market and starts getting flipped. So you release a $100 to $150 shoe, and it might be selling for $1,000 on the secondary market, but like the creator of the thing doesn't get anything from that. And that would go for, startup t-shirt brands. It would go for toys. It would go for any kind of collectible. So one thing about NFTs is that for musicians, many of the things that we make are digital items to start with, and to be able to kind of capitalize on the scarcity or the importance of those items. NFTs are a good solution for that. I will say this, like as active as the blockchain universe is, it's still really small relative to everything else. And the rules and infrastructure are still getting very much worked out. So I've tried to skew my engagement with NFTs and blockchain towards artistic endeavors and like low barrier to entry, low costs, so that I don't want to see people going in with thousands of dollars and getting hurt. Like I've tried to make all of my stuff in the from free to hundreds of dollars. And if there's a small exceptions, but the vast majority of it is in smaller price points. I want them to be able to, because I wanted them to be able to experience it in a safe way and explore the technology in these unique opportunities and almost like these unique emotions that you get when you get something that you feel a connection to. Ziggurats was for example, is my project from the end of last year, which was an edition of 5,000 mini mixtapes, and each one had its own unique music and unique cover art. So all of the music on each one was different. All of the cover art on each one was different. It was delivered instantly to fans into their wallets, and the royalties from those were instantly dispersed. When they sold one on secondary market, those royalties were instantly dispersed for those of us who participated in creating them. And then over the holidays, when these are the unique things that the NFT market can offer an artist. So over the holidays, I went on and I gave a new free NFT to everyone who already owned one of my old NFTs. That's, I did this on Tezos, which is a different blockchain than the one that many people are using called Ethereum. The reason I did that on Tezos is because it's a green NFT. It's 1/2 millionth of the carbon footprint of Ethereum. And so that also, not only does that keep costs down for people, it's better for the environment, but it's also like the transaction fees are really low. So when I did my free giveaway, it was a surprise, and it cost almost nothing to do. There are so many things being built on NFTs. The last thing I'll say about it is an NFT isn't a JPEG. It's not a monkey JPEG. It's not a Ponzi scheme. there are real people with real ideas. There are people with master's degrees in computer science. There are lifetime artists and musicians. There are creatives in the gaming industry who are all building things on the blockchain. And yes, there are totally scams and bad things out there too. So it is the Wild West. Like it's a very frothy, and it can be a little dangerous. So when you go in, if you decide to play around there, I mean, I think the way to explore it is with that curiosity and willingness to kind of like kick the tires on these ideas.
Yeah, and the benefit is it creates a new connection with fans. It's like collecting and connection 3.0, where now, instead of just signing maybe memorabilia, now you can send an NFT. So it's like a new way to create that connection and sharing memories and experiences with people. And there's going to be more utilities as people move forward in NFTs. You're going to
I think you had asked about the music part. The thing that many of us who are in this space, who are exploring it, and in music as well, have that like crossover. The thing I think that most people are excited about is the idea that the supporter of an artist can benefit by being a supporter. Like in the past, if you're on a social media network, you as the artist, like can, hustle to monetize that and make a living off of that. The fans get nothing. Like the fans only buy stuff and don't get anything in return except for a high five and retweets and, liking this and that. In the future, what opens up in the future of blockchain is that basically the fans become shareholders in the projects. So when the project succeeds, the creators of the project see whatever benefit they've identified, and the actual audience themselves also shares in that benefit. So if it is that it's a strictly money like value proposition, then yeah, the creator of the project makes money, but also the fans who are there make money. And the earlier you were on board, the more you share in that profit as well.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, it's shared incentives. Everyone kind of wins in that capacity. If a creator needs another way of making money or to raise money in some way, and people want to support them, it's an extra incentive to support them, even though they probably would in the first place, because that's why they found this individual who they like their music and art, painting, etc. And what's your best piece of career advice?
My best piece of career advice probably relates back to the third question that you asked. And the two things that come to mind are patience and gratitude. Sometimes you have to be patient, whether that's working patiently or just waiting patiently, to allow an idea to come to its full potential. And for me, the gratitude piece helps feed the patience and vice versa. So even on days when things go terribly wrong and ideas like something comes like crashing to a halt, stepping back and asking like, what am I grateful for, allows me to refocus on the meaning behind what I'm doing. So yeah, so having gratitude fuels the patience, and having patience fuels the gratitude.
That's well said. And especially in a world where everyone wants instant gratification, they want to see results in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But as you know, it takes a long time. I mean, you've been, in the creative space for, decades, and you're still growing and still challenging yourself. So thank you so much for your time and for being on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.